As the Israel-Hamas war continues to rage on, protests continue to flare up across the globe. People are gathering in thousands, calling for a ceasefire in Gaza. In Turkey, police used tear gas and water cannons as hundreds of pro-Palestinian protesters tried to storm an airbase that houses U.S. troops. And this came just hours before U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken was due in Ankara for talks on Gaza. The protests outside in Cirlik, our airbase in southeastern Turkey, was organized by the IHH Humanitarian Relief Fund, and there were no reports of injuries or arrests. Meanwhile, in Pakistan, around 10,000 people marched through the streets of the capital Islamabad. They called for the government to allow them to be involved in the conflict between Hamas and Israel. The demonstrations were organized by Pakistan's Tehreek-e-Labbaik party. The protesters chanted, "I am ready to come and we are ready to defend Al-Aqsa," referring to Jerusalem's Al-Aqsa Mosque. And the protesters marched towards the U.S. Embassy, but stopped about half a kilometer from the red zone where the embassy is located.
हुकूमत पाकिस्तान से हमने पहले भी कहा था, अब भी अगर आप इजाजत दें, अपनी फौज न भी दें, तो हम इस वक्त भी फलस्तीनियों के हिमायत में जाने के लिए उनके साथ खड़े होंगे, उनकी हिमायत में लड़ने के लिए और उनके साथ मरने के लिए आप भी तैयार हैं।
In Jordan, protesters gathered near the Israeli embassy in Amman to demonstrate against the latest war between Israel and Hamas and in support of the Palestinian resistance. They also called on Arab leaders to open the Rafah crossing border to help Palestinians in Gaza obtain medicine, food, fuel and other basic needs. Meanwhile, in Iraq, Iraqis took to the streets in Baghdad to protest against the visit of U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken to their country. Blinken made an unannounced stop in Baghdad on Sunday, where he met with Iraqi leaders and toured the region amid spiraling tensions over Israel's war with Hamas. In Greece, several thousand protesters marched to the Israeli embassy in Athens in solidarity with Palestinians, with many protesters chanting "Free Palestine" while calling for an immediate ceasefire in the deadly war between Israel and Hamas. In France, thousands demonstrated in Paris to show solidarity for Palestinians and to demand a ceasefire in the fighting in Gaza. Demonstrators held Palestinian flags bearing slogans such as "Stop the massacres" and "Ceasefire now." In Indonesia, thousands gathered in the nation's capital to show solidarity with Palestinians and condemn Israel's actions in the ongoing conflict. Participants stemming from various faith groups crowded in thousands at the National Monument in Jakarta, holding both Indonesian and Palestinian flags while shouting and singing in support of the Palestinian cause. Protesters in Israel continue to demand the release of hostages. Protesters joined families of the hostages that have been camping at the headquarters for the volunteer-based Hostages and Missing Families Forum. The families of the hostages held by Hamas have vowed to not return home until their family members have returned.